Hello guys, welcome back. My name is Nathan and today I'm going to be ranking my top 10 best goaltending prospects in the NHL. Now a few weeks ago I made a video detailing my top 10 best forward prospects in hockey, and then a few days ago I made my top 10 best defenseman prospects as well. So today we're going to be moving on to the best goaltending prospects in the NHL. So, who do I see as the best goaltending prospects in hockey right now, and which goalie prospects make my top 10? Watch till the end for all my picks and opinions, and of course hit that subscribe button if you're new. Now, just like in the defenseman prospect video, we have a couple of graduating prospects to go over. Goaltenders who've gone from prospect up to NHL status. The first one being Thatcher Demko, who's one of my top goalie prospects in last year's ranking. He's a guy that at this point I think is a regular for the Canucks, and I don't think we'll get AHL time for the rest of his career. He's a guy that is now ready for the NHL, and so far is playing like it, albeit a little bit inconsistent. The second one being Igor Shesterkin, and although he's only played 7 games in the NHL up to this point, the .941 save percentage speaks for itself. But with that out of the way, we can now get into my top 10 here today, and starting at number 10, my 10th best goalie prospect in the NHL, I have Oven Primeau. Now, Primeau is an Arizona Coyotes prospect who was drafted in the 2018 draft back in the 4th round. He's a guy that's having a pretty great AHL season, all things considered, and at age 20, that alone is very impressive. Now, Ivan, so far in 22 games in the AHL this year, has gotten to .263 goals against average and a .918 save percentage. Now, he's played a few games in the ECHL as well, which is pretty normal for a 20-year-old goalie. So far, getting a .930 save percentage and looking way above his class down there. Now, you'll recognize that throughout this list that it's not all about the numbers, because with goaltenders, what's more important is their stature, their play, and their athletic ability, really. Even though Primeau is 6'5", he still has some great goalie ability, some great IQ, some great reaction time, and you see that throughout the AHL. He's a guy that I'm not sure will be a starter in the NHL someday, but I think will be an NHL goalie in no time. But now getting into my 9th best goalie prospect right now in the NHL, I have Vinny Vehviläinen of the Columbus Blue Jackets. Now, Vinny at age 22 right now is playing in the AHL, but has been one of the best European goaltender prospects in the last couple of years. I personally am not been as high on him as some other people, but right now he's having a pretty solid AHL season and would be in the NHL if Merzlikins wasn't a thing. Now, the 6'1" fantastic Finn, so far in 26 games, the Cleveland of the AHL has a 2.52 goals against average and a .909 save percentage. Now, personally, I hope for better at a 22-year-old rate, but so far he still has a skill set. Again, it's not all about the stats, and Vehviläinen has a lot of skill to go with it. That's a guy that I'm not sure will be on Columbus, because you already have Korpisalo, you already have Merzlikins, both of which have been pretty good saviors for Columbus this year. So unless he ends up being absolutely amazing, I'm not sure how much NHL time he's going to get, but the guy is still a solid prospect, and the skill is apparent every single game. But now, moving on to my 8th best goaltending prospect right now in the NHL, going to one of my personal favorites, I have Lukas Dostal of the Anaheim Ducks. Now, Dostal right now sitting at age 19, was drafted in the 2018 draft, 85th overall, right now sitting at 6'1". The Czech goaltender is a guy who I think has a strong future in the NHL. Right now having a pretty great season right now in the Finnish Liga. Now, Dostal, right now at age 19, has been able to get 33 games played in the Liga this year, which by itself is pretty impressive, getting a 1.93 goals against average and a .920 save percentage. Very solid stats for a teenager like he's been. In the World Juniors, he wasn't as impressive. In 3 games, the Czech Republic had an .878 save percentage, but again, those are fairly low circumstances, and the Czech Republic team wasn't that amazing around him. I still think Dostal has a great future, although he might not be better than John Gibson, which is a pretty high bar. I think he'll definitely be an NHL goalie, and at age 19 is looking like the Czech Republic's future in goal. But now advancing to my 7th best goaltending prospect right now in the NHL, I'm going to go to another Finnish goaltender, that being Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen, aka UPL, the absolute MVP. Now, UPL right now sitting at age 20 after having an elite OHL season, hasn't been amazing this year, but still in the ECHL has been relatively good. But again, not just the stats when it comes to UPL, the skill, the amazing size, and the amazing athletic ability is all there. Now, the 6'4" Finnish stud hasn't exactly had the greatest year, all things considered, but has made some progress. In the AHL, he played 4 games, having an .895 save percentage, not the greatest, but got sent down to the ECHL and is playing fairly well. In 22 games, he's gotten a .916 save percentage, and again, the progress has been made. And for a team like Buffalo, which needs everything they can get, UPL might just be their savior. But now getting into my 6th spot, my 6th best goaltending prospect right now in the National Hockey League, I have Michael DiPietro. Now, if I had one word to explain DiPietro, it would be solid. DiPietro is a solid goaltender in net, a solid human being, and so far is having a very solid season in the AHL. The 20-year-old Canadian, who was drafted in the 3rd round in 2017 by Vancouver, is having a very productive year in Utica and is making a ton of progress too. Now, DiPietro, so far in 26 games, has gotten a 2.84 goals against average and a .904 save percentage. I personally don't see DiPietro being a great starter in the NHL, but I see him being a solid backup and one of the better ones for Vancouver, especially with Thatcher Demko making the progress that he's making right now. But now going on to the halfway point in my number 5 spot, and for one of my older goalies, but one of my better goalies on this list, I have Kaapo Kähkönen of the Minnesota Wild. I personally have been a pretty big Kähkönen fan for a while, but at age 23 right now is having a great season in the AHL, and personally I think he's Minnesota's next great goalie. Right now having a solid season, but at age 23 is obviously ready to take that NHL step. Now, at 6'2" and at 214 pounds, he has the size to be that. And so far in 27 games, Iowa of the AHL has gotten a 2.24 goals against average and a .920 save percentage. Even though he is an older goaltender, those stats aren't bad whatsoever. And now going into my number 4 pick, and I'm just gonna give you guys a warning, this is where my bias comes into play, so just take it as is. But going into my 4th best prospect, goalie-wise, in the NHL, I have, from the Dallas Stars, Jake Oettinger. Currently sitting at age 21, Oettinger is one of the best goalie prospects in the NHL, in my opinion, although he isn't having an elite season in the AHL. Right now, the stats are still solid, and for a Texas Stars defense that is not all too great, he's been performing pretty solidly. Now, so far in 26 games, he's been able to get a 2.73 goals against average and a .907 save percentage. Now, Oettinger in like the first few games started with like a .890 save percentage, and it wasn't all too great, but he's gotten back to a solid level, and right now, I will take the stats he's putting up. But again, this is my bias. I didn't have him at number 1, 2, or 3, but I still think Oettinger is one of the better prospects in the game with the pedigree, being a first-round pick. He's a guy that I think can be a starter at the NHL level, whether it be with Dallas or some other NHL team, but preferably with the Dallas Stars. That would just be my preference at this point. But now, getting into my top 3 and heading on to my 3rd best goalie prospect right now in the NHL, I have Cayden Primeau, another USA goaltender, by the way. Now, Primeau hasn't had an amazing AHL season by all means, but at age 20, I can excuse that. And so far has played a couple of games in the Montreal Canadiens, both of which have been absolutely elite. Now, the contrast between his stats of Laval, the AHL, and the Canadiens is pretty drastic. So far in the AHL, in 24 games played, has gotten an .899 save percentage, and in 2 games with the Habs has gotten .931 save percentage. So at age 20, there is still a lot of things going on for Cayden Primeau. Again, transitioning from the NCAA to the AHL is not easy, and Primeau has done it pretty solidly so far, but again, he's still super young, and at this point still has amazing potential to not just become Montreal's future starter, but to become one of the better goalies in the NHL. And that same potential goes on to my 2nd best goalie prospect, right now being Spencer Knight of the Florida Panthers. Now, the 13th overall pick in 2019 is having a pretty great season in the NCAA. At age 18 is dominating with Boston College. Now, to start out, he wasn't amazing, but as the season has progressed, he's gotten better and better. Now, the 6'3" American, by the way, back-to-back Americans, baby, Spencer Knight has done very, very well. In 25 games with Boston College, has gotten to 2.07 goals against average and a .926 save percentage. Again, that's coming from like a .900 save percentage a few games into the season. Also played very well with the World Junior team with Team USA, got 4 games played and a .913 save percentage. Very solid stats for 18-year-old, all things considered. But now getting into my number one, my best goalie prospect right now in the NHL. This is a guy who was number one in last year's ranking and is once again number one. He was recently passed by Igor Shesterkin, but now with Shesty now being an NHL goalie, he once again takes the number one spot, that being Ilya Sorokin of the New York Islanders. Now, Sorokin, the 78th overall pick in 2014, is still in the KHL, but at age 24, I still think is the best goalie prospect and has been that for me personally in the last couple of years. Now, as I said before, this isn't entirely stat-based, but in Sorokin's case, it definitely does help. With CSKA of the KHL in 36 games this year, he's gotten a 1.50 goals against average and a .935 save percentage. And that is actually a downgrade from last season where he had a 1.16 goals against average and a .940 save percentage in 40 games. Unreal stats. All things considered, Sorokin to me, stat-wise, is the best out of them all. And when it comes to pure talent level, how calm and mature he already is, that's a guy that could step into the NHL right now and be one of the better goaltenders in the league, in my opinion. But I also want to give some honorable mentions out to guys that just missed this top 10. Probably would have been number 11, 12, and 13. That being Matt Zugard of the Ottawa Senators, Joel Hofer of the St. Louis Blues, and Connor Ingram of the Nashville Predators. Guys that I wanted to put in the top 10, but just couldn't. But either way, the future of goaltending is very bright. Even though the NHL has more goals scored than it has in like 20 years, there's a lot of fantastic goalie prospects from the top all the way to the bottom that will dominate the league for years to come. But that'll be it for today, guys. Thanks so much all y'all for watching. Of course, with this video, I need to hear y'all's thoughts down in those comments down below. Let me know what you think about my top 10 and my picks, what you agree and disagree with, and also let me know who you think are the best goalie prospects in the game. And of course, with that, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell. Comment down below all your thoughts, share this video with your friends, get the goalie goodness out there, and we'll click on this card right here to watch all of my hockey prospect videos right in one playlist. My name is Nathan, and I'll see y'all in the next video or stream. UPL MVP, that's all I have to say. Goodbye.